What's good, YouTube? Flash Speaks back. You know what it is. All right, so today on Undisputed, Skip Bayless had Paul Pierce on with Rachel Nichols. Rachel Nichols, the longtime host of The Jump when she was on ESPN. And they discussed the All-Star game, and the women's All-Star game that just took place in WNBA. Now, before I get into this particular video, I have to say this All-Star game is probably the best All-Star game I've seen since 2001. And in 2001, I'm talking about the men's All-Star game that took place when Allen Iverson and Stephon Marbury went at it with Kobe Bryant to win that game. I really felt like that was a game they were trying to win. I remember Dikembe Mutombo and Iverson kind of like took over, as well as Stephon Marbury. The problem with the All-Star game in the NBA is, of course, there's no competition. Like the players aren't trying to win. They play no defense. They out there just doing all types of monkey tricks and stuff that I don't care anything about. The essence of sport is competition. That's what makes it great. It's not offense. It's not defense. It's competition. That's why you have to have both elements of offense and defense in order for it to work. That I'll deal with in a separate video some other time. Here, I was having a discussion with a few regular subscribers who come in, and I appreciate all subscribers, trust me, even those who challenge me, as long as we keep it on topic and it doesn't get personal. One of my favorite subscribers, actually, he says that he believes that Caitlin Clark has the most pressure on her than the other rookies, and I said no, she doesn't have a pressure on her, and I think this is going to be proven through this here video here, where Paul Pierce gives his take and Skip Bayless and them do about the All-Star game, and we're going to chime in.
I'd say B plus. I mean, she obviously didn't have a good shooting night, 0 for 7 from 3, but she made up for it with the.
All right, so Caitlin Clark on a day where she goes 0 for 7, scores 4 points, but adds 10 assists, is given a B plus by Rachel Nichols.
Assists, set a rookie record for WNBA All-Star assists, had the most assists in the game, even with all of these highly decorated players. And you have to look beyond what actually happened on the court. I mean, she is, again, responsible.
Here again, let's look beyond what her actual performance, and let's look at this here. This is why she doesn't have pressure, because look at the things.
Well, and not solely, other players are too, but Caitlin is the mover. She is the most responsible for the rise in interest in the WNBA and the rise in interest in this All-Star game. So you have to look at everything she contributed here, and I just don't think there's a question that she had such an effect. I want to read you a couple numbers here. Last year, the top 11 players in All-Star fan voting collectively reached 702,000 votes. So that's 11 players collectively getting that many votes. Caitlin Clark this year received 700,000 votes just on her own. I mean,
one
that's
versus 11,
bananas.
right? Yeah.
And you look at how many more people were voting, right? The attendance, they only had 10,000 people at the All-Star game last year. They had nearly double that. And the reason they didn't have quite double is the arena they were playing in only seats 18,000. It couldn't seat more, but they sold it out. So I think for all around, the fact that she was a rookie, that to me, a lot of the shooting was tiredness. I think she's had a long run here. It's not an excuse.
Yeah, that is an excuse, Rachel. Too tired, so you can't make 1 out of 7.
Saying that to me is what I saw, and
So you saw her look tired, even though she was running up and down the court. Like, what does it take more? Does running up and down the court take more energy, or does shooting take more energy? Like, does shooting take more energy than passing? Like, I'm just curious. But this is what I'm going to say here. Caitlin Clark does not have a lot of pressure on her to perform, because when she doesn't perform well, she'll receive, tiredness excuse. They'll overlook it and they'll just say, well, hey, look how many people came. Look how many tickets were sold. Look at the attendance. So unlike most number one picks here, she does not have a lot of pressure on her. Like I even said, if she was to have a lackluster rookie year, she will receive the excuse that she's a rookie, and people will still look at the interest that she's bringing to the game. I'm convinced of that more than anything.
Yeah, she's not an A, but I give her a B plus there.
Well, Skip.
Well, Paul.
She would have loved to be in my class if I was her teacher, like Keyshawn might say. I gave her an A plus.
What?
All right, so Paul Pierce, gives an A plus to 4 points, 0 for 7 from 3, and 10 assists. He gives that an A plus.
I gave her an A plus. Let me tell you what.
7?
0 for 7, 0 for 15. Look it, she's a rookie.
Right, so right there, he does not care. He just made it clear he doesn't care about her performance whatsoever. Right, this is the extent we've gone to in the media. Her performance doesn't matter. She's a rookie.
And on the biggest stage, this All-Star game, they're probably going to break records as far as views. Attendance you already talked about. She's a rookie. 10 assists. Kelsey Plum was guarding her like it was Game 7. It's the All-Star.
Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but yeah, she was guarding her. Kelsey Plum pokes fun at with. You can even see when in the games against the Aces, Kelsey Plum pokes fun at Caitlin Clark. But this whole idea that they were putting the toughest defense on Caitlin Clark is nonsense. If they were really going to really try to stick Caitlin Clark, they would have put Kalia Copper on her. They were really trying to stop her, like people think. Now, they were switching a lot and trapping her, but you have to do that with someone who has a reputation of shooting the ball from the logo. Unless, of course, you just want the men's All-Star game where you don't try to stick people, which I'm glad they didn't do. I want to see defense. Okay, but people are trying to act like, oh, Kelsey Plum, all right. Kelsey Plum is probably the worst defender on the Olympic squad, and they're complaining about Kelsey Plum sticking her. I've never seen anything like it. No, she literally has no pressure on her. She has the machine behind her and no pressure, and this is proving it.
Okay, Skip.
It's gonna happen.
She picked her up full court in the All-Star game. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I mean, look it. And on top of
Wow, the mighty Kelsey Plum.
all that, they beat Team USA.
Yeah.
They beat Team. Did anybody expect that? No, let's not say they beat them. I mean, they handedly beat them.
They did.
Well, listen, I'll admit I didn't even pick them to beat them, but it's not unprecedented. They said the last time they had this format in 2001, the WNBA team, All-Stars, won that one as well. So the 2 times they did it, WNBA won. So it's not like it was some unprecedented thing. So bringing that up is not a very good point. You got to do your research, Paul.
They were up 20 points. And guess what? No, she didn't play the violin or the trumpet, but you know what else? You know what she did? She orchestrated everything.
Yeah.
Cap. That is absolute cap that she orchestrated everything. In the beginning of the game, before Arike started shooting, the USA team was up early in the game. They were up 5 at a certain point. They were up 7 at a certain point. That is cap. The misses that Caitlin Clark was doing was contributing actually to the USA team being up. That's cap, right? The tide changed when Arike went off. That's what changed everything. Had that not happened, there was no orchestrating everything. Yes, she had some nice passes. I'm not taking that away from her. But this idea that she was somehow orchestrating everything is cap.
He directed it all.
Yeah.
I give her an A, and what a symphony that was. She put on a masterpiece. I give her an A, Skip. Listen, rookies,
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Paul Pierce. I really don't. 'Cause I know he knows basketball better than this. But he's part of the machine, man. I know Paul Pierce was fired from ESPN. I guess he's trying to make sure that doesn't happen this time. And I'm not taking away from her performance. I actually said she played well despite the poor shooting. I did say that because I felt like she wasn't lost out there. But my expectations were quite low for her and Angel Reese actually going into it. I felt that if they were going to do anything, it would be the veterans that would win. And Angel definitely outperformed what I expected. She played like she would do any game, her numbers. And Caitlin played a good floor game. But since her reputation is for shooting, she has to do better than 0 from 7. You know, as far as what we expect from her.
A lot of people are giving A's in this game also.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Arike, the MVP.
Yes.
Of course, Angel Reese doubled. I mean, so many people just played well for me. I mean, Stewie looked amazing.
I was gonna say.
Asia. This was a game for the ages. I would have to think. I haven't seen any other All-Star games, but just watching this, there couldn't have been a better All-Star game than this one.
So he admits here he doesn't watch the WNBA, and he has not ever watched an All-Star game for the WNBA. But he's speaking as if this was the best one ever and such and such. Paul Pierce, boy, he's something else.
The USA team, the stars are stars. And this goes to what I've been saying for weeks. Some of those girls that was on the All-Star game, on the All-Star team, should be on the U.S. team. Now, I'm not saying who they should take off.
I was gonna say there's only so many spots.
I don't know who they take off, but it seems like some of those positions are kind of repetitive. When you look down the line, Asia, Stewie, the other girl, the tall.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
All right, nonsense. Okay, he's saying Asia and Stewie are repetitive. Okay, these are the 2 last MVPs. So why would Stewie or Asia be off? Anyone who's ever even criticized like Caitlyn not going or anything. First of all, everyone who said Caitlyn should go, they were not speaking based on performance. They were saying she should go based on popularity. That was the argument, okay? Now he's trying to argue that there's repetitive. And everyone picks on Brittany Griner, all right? But Brittany Griner is a center who's 6'9". Stewie and Asia don't play center. So, no, to have a player that's 6'9", I think it's very important to have 6'9" on your team. If they were going to not take Stewie, who would they replace her with? If they were going to take Brittany Griner off, who would they replace her with? With John Paul Jones, maybe, or who? They weren't going to go with Camila Cardoso. The Jones who plays for Connecticut, who would be the center? Brittany Griner is 6'9". That's why she's there, and she's been a good center in this league, from what I understand. I mean,
I can't think of her name.
That's all right.
But it's Brittany Griner.
Yeah,
that's right.
Brittany. Oh, yeah.
A lot of those positions are repetitive.
Yeah.
And so, but all deserving. All the girls on that UST team is all deserving. But it just goes to show you how good the girls' game is getting. I can't wait till the Olympics to start. But as far as Caitlin Clark, for all those reasons I said, A+.
Okay. I'm going to start off with Angel Reese because I'm going to give her an A+.
Yeah, she got an A+ for me, too.
She was extraordinary because she didn't play high minutes, and she wound up with 12 points and 11 rebounds. And I got to say it. I know it's only like 2/3 of a year so far. I'm pretty sure she's the best offensive rebounder I've ever seen, men's or women's, because of her nose for the basketball and the way she maneuvers.
More than Rodman?
More than Rodman. Offense, like Rodman's total.
Okay.
But Rodman wasn't just offense, and she's half offense. Like her rebounds are almost 50-50 offensive rebounds. She goes out there
50%.
among those very tall women you just detailed, and she got 11 rebounds with 5 of them offensive. And every time she would get one, I'd say, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Because it's nose for ball. It's playing the carom. You have to have, there's some sort of weird genius to it where you have to just be able to anticipate the bounce, the carom. Where's it going to go? And she's always in the right place at the right time. And then, you know what I think of fourth quarters, she goes 3 out of 4 shots in the fourth quarter and had 3 more rebounds and led.
One thing I got to give Skip here. Skip is a guy that over the years, it's hard to determine whether or not he's sincere with his takes or not. But in this particular instance, I got to believe Skip is actually sincere here. Now, you got to take Skip with a little bit of a grain of salt because he follows this. I think part of what his shtick is he does like to go against the popular narrative in order to stand out. But the way he's making the argument, I kind of believe he's sincere here because he argues for Angel's game similar to the way I argue for it. And my position is absolutely 100%. I think Skip here is understanding the impact. He understands the game within the game. A lot of people don't understand Angel Reese's game and why it's a great game. Why she is a great player. And why she's actually on the same tier as as Caitlin Clark, but it's in a different way. Why what she does is just as important to winning as what someone like Caitlin Clark does. And Skip, one thing I give him consistent. But the one thing he is consistent with, he is consistent about not liking players who do not perform well in the fourth quarter and not liking players who don't do what they had to do in the first quarter. And those are the same things I like about Angel Reese. Angel Reese gets stronger as the game gets on. She gets stronger as winning time approaches. And when in a situation where she has to make free throws or anything like that or is needed, she performs well and executes. Whereas, Caitlin Clark down the stretch, sometimes, you question that. Even though many will argue she's the more talented, skilled player XYZ over Angel Reese. But when it's money time and crunch time and needed, she still has some proving to do, I think. At least consistently.
The charge, I thought she was kind of the lightning rod in the fourth quarter to hold off Team USA. And to your point, Paul, it became... Team USA outscored them 30-29, but when you can get 29 on them in a quarter, it worked, and it held them off. Okay, back to Caitlin. This is so shocking to me that I'm still having a hard time wrapping my...
Maria and Julio thought their life would never slow down. Then, one day, it finally did. You were made to find inner peace. We were made to track flight prices to paradise.
Arm around it and my head around it. And Paul and I have discussed briefly this last week, but Caitlin Clark is the opposite of what I thought she was.
Yeah.
Seriously. I thought she was the Steph Curry of women's basketball because that's mostly what she was at Iowa.
And she broke all the records.
She broke all the scoring records. And there have been bursts of that this year so far, but she's turned more and more to, like you said, John Stockton. Like she's just...
She just morphed her game into...
She did.
Like Harden yesterday of Harden today.
Yeah.
You know how Harden was like that scorer, and now he's more of an assist guy?
Okay.
That's what she's done.
Okay. So she is in a terrible three-point shooting slump, and we'll get more into this a little bit later in the show. But I'm...
It could be a slump. That's possible. I never thought about that. It could be a slump, But we know she can shoot. But when she has performances like 0 for 7, we can't sit up there and say it's an A+. That I can't buy that. But I don't think she was bad in the All-Star game. But an A+, how? I just don't think that's right. I don't think any other player could go 0 for 7 and you would say that they get an A+.
Looking at her last 7 regular season games, and she was 17-65, which is 26%. And if I throw on the 0 for 7 in this game, that would drop her to 24% over 8 games. So maybe she just wore out because, as you well know, if your legs go, your three-point shot just goes because you can't get your legs up underneath it. And also, as you well know, if you get a demon down in your psyche about it, just won't go in for whatever reason. You're just like a touch. You're 2 inches off to the right or the left. All of a sudden, you're in a slump. I don't know what your worst slump was.
No, but you know what it is, Skip, too. I can tell you this. And I know they don't play in the same pro arenas, but college arenas are different from pro arenas.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about the lighting.
Let's say the lighting
I mean, the lighting is
like the way you see the basket is different. Yep.
In the NBA or WNBA from where you play in college. It's a thing. It's like you can be on your floor and you can shoot however many percentage or a high percentage in college. Then first time I remember stepping on the NBA floor, we went to the Chicago United Center when I was in college, and I was just like, whoa, this is the the court longer? Is the rim higher?
Were you in that early season thing at the United States?
Yeah,
They had it
yes,
every year.
the
It's like
grade
the
8
tip off.
Yes,
yeah, right.
yes. So I played in that. That was my first experience playing in the NBA arena, and it just seemed like everything.
So Paul Pierce is bringing up the lighting in the college game versus the lighting in the pro game. Well, I'm not going to say he's just making excuses here, but we should expect that to improve eventually, right? That's not going to keep being a problem.
was bigger. It was more fans. The court seemed bigger. And I know it's the same court. 3-point line has moved back, but we still shoot from college 3. But that seemed farther. The rim seemed a little bit higher. And so she'll make the adjustment. She's a great shooter. So it'll take time. She'll make the adjustment. Not everybody comes in and just, even though they're known for 3, I even beat Steph Curry in the 3-point contest his rookie year.
Brought that up several times.
His rookie year, because he was still getting adjusted to the NBA courts. Now, I will never beat him ever again in my life, so I cherish that.
You don't know that.
I cherish that.
Okay, so I had never even thought about assists in an all-star game because I just didn't care, because it's such a mad scramble and everybody's jacking up threes that it seemed like there aren't that many great passes because you don't need to make great passes because you're mostly just feeding people on the perimeter and they're going to catch it and shoot it, right? Or maybe dribble it a couple of times and jack it up. And I thought off the top of my head this morning, well, what's the all-star NBA record for assists in a game? And I had to look it up because I never thought about it, but Magic once upon a time in 1984 had 22 in a game that they lost at Denver because Isaiah Thomas was the MVP of the game, and he had 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 15 assists.
Oh, wow.
So Magic had 22 to 15 for Isaiah. So it's like I didn't even know that because I didn't care.
But NBA All-Star scoring has long been way inflated and a joke, whereas, as you guys both said, this was a highly competitive game.
Man.
Cheryl Reese said after the game.
Yeah, the NBA All-Star games aren't even games. They're just exhibition displays of this nonsense, whereas this was an actual game. So I'll watch these games. I haven't watched an NBA All-Star game in years. Probably the year when Kobe passed, I watched just because I heard they were going to do special things for Kobe, so I watched for that reason. But paying attention to the actual gameplay, I'll go to the bathroom and go do whatever. I wasn't really paying attention.
She said it's one of the greatest spectacles in the history of our league, this game. That's saying something coming from her. And the competition between these two teams, it's not a surprise because, first of all, this happened before the last Olympics, was the WNBA team beat the Team USA team. But the Team USA team then went on for an easy gold. This game, this is the toughest competition that the women's team will play the entire summer. So, yes, this was a super competitive game, but it doesn't, to me, feel like a harbinger of, Team USA is in trouble or anything like that. As for Caitlin, the tiredness, again, I'm going to say it, I think it is a big deal. She has brought up the fact that she has played basically a year straight of basketball. And if you look at...
See, this is my only thing with that. I don't want to hear Caitlin Clark saying she's tired. Only because she plays 29 to 30 minutes a night for the Fever. Like when I'm watching Fever games, she hardly ever sits down. If she do, it's just for a second. So I don't want to hear that. If you're tired, then take some time to rest during those games. If you're tired, don't play an All-Star game. Just don't play the All-Star game. Right? If tiredness is an issue. If you're out there, you got to perform. I don't want to hear that. That's just like a person saying they're injured. If you're injured and you're going to harm the team, sit down. If you're going to go out there, I'm going to expect you to perform. See, I don't buy that. And this is why I say she has no pressure this year. She has no pressure this year because this is what they'll do. Rachel Nichols is going to say she's tired. Paul Pierce is going to make excuses about the lighting and all types of stuff. Now, Skip is the only one that's going to be real out here. And I appreciate what Skip doing this because, honestly, if you really think back to the years when Skip covered different players, Angel Reese really is his type of player. And he has to be real about that. Whereas Caitlin Clark isn't really his type of player. So you got to think about how he was towards Allen Iverson, how he was towards James Harden, how he was towards Russell Westbrook, how he was towards LeBron James. And Caitlin Clark kind of fits some of those types of players. I don't think she fits AI necessarily, but just certain types of players that aren't necessarily the most efficient, who don't always come through the fourth quarter. Those players are players that Skip has criticized over the years. So I have to give him credit for some level of consistency here.
When the college season ended, when the WNBA draft was, and when she had to start playing, I mean, it's all happens within like a month, 5-week span.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So she now has the month off. I think that not making this Olympic team, as controversial as it was, may actually be the best thing for her rookie year.
Here's the thing. Like, first of all, you're saying, see, this is what I don't get. Okay, all of the rookies, number one, were played straight through. All of the rookies are technically tired. All of them. Angel, Reese, Rakia Jackson, Cardoso, all of them. Okay? You're saying that she's far and away, because I've heard Rachel Nichols on other chat on other days, said she's far and away, the rookie of the year leader. Okay. So obviously she's not that damn tired if she's far and away the rookie of the year. She just the other night did 24-19. So when she's doing great, I don't hear no tiredness. However, if she has a bad game, all of a sudden she's tired. I can't rock with that. But it's evidence that she is under no pressure. The media machine behind her, the media engine behind her will provide all of the excuses that Caitlin Clark needs. Whereas Angel Reese, she go out and have a bad game, nobody's going to say she's tired. They're going to say, well, she's not that good anyway, or something like that. Or she was just dominated by the opponent or whatever. Those are the things I don't like.
And I'm very interested to see her.
The most anticipated summer blockbuster is here. From the app that brought you Rocket, Slot,
shooting numbers when she comes back.
It will be interesting. But to Paul's point, she didn't see that many Kelsey Plums in college basketball.
No.
And Kelsey was taking this very seriously.
Yeah.
Kelsey Plum is not a defensive stopper.
Felt like a game 7 the way she was playing.
Hey, and Kelsey's been in the weight room because she brings it, man.
It's just like, I was so jealous watching this, Skip, and I was just like, I wish the NBA All-Star.
I know, it was really fun to watch.
This was really
so
fun to watch.
Right.
I mean, and Arike, oh my gosh, I think she can get a bucket in the NBA.
Well, she got them all.
I think she can get a bucket.
I
think she can get a bucket in the league. Seriously.
And she's not the only one.
Being an All-Star game, but
hey,
this is competitive.
You don't think that our Team USA didn't want to put it on her because they're all the ones who said, well, what about us? Are we chopped liver?
Yeah.
And I kept saying, well, your ratings have been kind of chopped liver. You're not, but your ratings have been until she walked in the door, right?
And by the way, again, you talk about that contribution to this game in particular. The number of eyeballs on this game was so important because it wasn't just the Caitlin Clark show. It showed off so many great players in the W. And I imagine that people who tuned in maybe just even for this All-Star game because they're like, okay, an All-Star game I'll watch, suddenly may have fallen in love with not just Caitlin, but many of these players.
But it was just exciting. It was just an exciting game. Like, I know at one point that the USA team got down 20, but just to watch the show from some of these women, in particular Arike, I was over here like, whoa. Like, every time down, the threes, the fadeaways, it was just like, whoa. Reese, Caitlin, Asia, Brianna hit him with the Euro.
I know.
And this is good for Paul here because Paul Pierce, on the video that I did about this earlier, him and Kevin Garnett were up there. And this is proof they've never watched the WNBA. They don't watch. They were up here saying, nobody balls like Caitlin and all of this kind of stuff. And they just joined in the ranks of a lot of people. And who want to speak on it, but haven't watched. He's so amazed by Arike. Wow, I didn't know. Arike been doing this for a while since she's been in the league. Kelsey been doing this for a while. And that's really the thing. It's not a bad product. People just haven't given it a chance. And I'll add myself to that. I wasn't watching women's basketball because I just wasn't aware. I had no. My reasons though is a little different. Typically, the sports that I watch, I usually have a rooting interest, and that's for Philadelphia teams. There is no W team in Philadelphia, so that's the main reason I never really gave it a chance. I didn't have a rooting interest, but you know, now I do. Chicago Sky. But anyway, it's good they start talking about Arike, you know. But this video's got longer than I anticipated, so I'm going to roll out.